All right, let's continue. So 77, minute 77. I have to put that in chat. So sorry, so they know milestone 2 begins over there. So milestone 2. Milestone 1 submission. Again, these are so always enter everything like that, and it'll see the instructions and everything. You've done it 55,000 times, so there's no need for it for knowing. So you can always use -2 to see when is the date, skip spaces, blank lines, and feedback. So even if it's not open for submission, you can always use -feedback to test your program and see how it works. So for milestone 2, we are creating the user interface for the application. So essentially, you're gonna create what the application is going to look like uh, at the end. So this is how your application is going to look like at the end. You're going to create a mock-up application that has the menu and everything, and then fill it with the functionality as you are going through it. And that's what the user interface is. So first you create the user interface, then little by little you add functionalities to it, and as the functionalities are added, you go forward with your application development. So what we're going to do right now is to build that. Are we okay with this? All right, so the very first thing that you need to create is a menu module. It's a very simple class, the menu module. What it does essentially, it simply holds one text and one option, and that's it. So, oh, sorry, let me set that. I'm just showing set as start application. Yeah, so what it does, you're going to have only one dynamically allocated text. It's going to contain the whole text for the menu. So whatever they want to show as a menu, they put it in that dynamically allocated memory. And it has an unsigned integer that holds the number of available options. So in here, if the text is 1, orange juice, 2, water, 3, apple, as you see. So this is going to be the text that is passed, and the number of options is going to be set to 3, obviously. So they're going to set it like that. What menu does, it displays the whole text, then shows a prompt and waits for user entry, and does a foolproof integer entry between 0 and the number that you have. And remember the utils function getInt that I put over there for you can be used over here. This is the first use of it. So yeah, so you just display. So that's what it does. So the rule of 3 for the construction is it gets created with 2 things, and that's it. So the menu is created as an unsigned integer, an unsigned integer and a C string. The unsigned integer is used to initialize the number of options, and a dynamic copy of C string for the content. You can use the allocation copy of utils. If the number of options is more than 15, the C string, or if the C string is null, then the menu is rendered invalid. It means deallocate everything, put it in an invalid state. So a menu cannot be copied or assigned. So rule of 3, you have to enforce it so a menu cannot get copied or assigned. So essentially create a prototype for the copy constructor and copy assignment and set them to delete. And make sure your destructor deletes the dynamically allocated memory. So it has only one public method, and that method is run, and that's it. So what run does is exactly as I mentioned. So what run does is this. So this is the text that I have in menu. As you see, it displays the text, then shows a 0 exit at the end and a prompt, and then waits for me. If I put garbage in here, it's going to tell me invalid integer retry. If I put over here 50, it's going to say out of range between 0 and 7. So as you see, it is exactly like the getInt function that I asked up there. Either create that one or create it in here, your choice. I would create it over there because you're going to need it later. And if I enter actually what I want, like for example, I say 4, then it actually returns 4. So that's what the the menu does. So what the run of menu returns one integer, it displays everything, goes to new line. Oh, sorry, it displays the content, immediately prints exit. So it's the responsibility of the person who is setting the content to go to new line. You don't need to. So it goes to new line, prints the content, prints 0 dash exit and goes to new line. Then it shows a prompt and stops right there. So exactly as we put it over here. Exactly as we put it over here. So as you see, it prints the exit and goes over here and prompts. Then it does a foolproof integer entry between 0 and number of options, and it doesn't let the user go until they do it. And if they select the option, then it returns the option. If it's 0, it returns 0. If it's 4, it returns 4. If it's 5, it returns 5, whatever it is. Are we okay with this? Frankly, this menu thing, it shouldn't take you more than an hour to do. It's a very simple thing to write. Very, very simple, especially if you create the functions for that utils. So additional methods, the menu class with the above capabilities supports what we need from a menu up to this part of the application. There is no need for any additional methods or attributes. However, you are free to add any other functionality needed to make the work easier for you. What we have right now will do what we want. Okay, I'm not adding anything new. If you want to add a setter function or add a set function or add a assignment function to set the content to something, sure, but it's not needed. When we create a method, we set the values, and that's what when we create a menu, we set the content for it. We don't need to set it halfway through our program. It's your choice to do whatever you want to do. If you think you want to be able to change, if you like to change the content of the menu, by all means. So anything you want to add to the menu, your choice, but you don't need it. Are we okay down to this point? All right. So the next thing is the aid management application. So this is the application that you are going to complete and submit it in final project, and every single thing that you do. So in here, as you see, I have 7 things that you're supposed to be able to do in this application. Probably I'm going to say if it's like if you submit 1 and 7, that's the first submission. Then 2 is the second, 3 is the fourth, 5 is the, and it keeps going like that. 6 submissions, 6 parts. If the 6 parts are done, then you're done. So these are the 6 different parts that you are going to apply. So we start the aid management like this. So you create a class called aidman, obviously in the in its own module. Again, down to this point, your aid management, all it needs is a constant character pointer. Sorry, it needs a character pointer to hold the C string for file name. So that's what it needs. It needs an instance of menu that you have to initialize. And that's it. So these are the 2 things it needs: one file name and one menu. Even the file name is just being set to no, but you'll see. Anyways, so it's going to be dynamically holding the name of data, holding the 8 products. So essentially, you're going to use the exact same function we have in the utils to do the memory allocation for it. It has a menu. That's a menu object. You've already done it. For now, only one private menu, private function you need to create, and that function is called menu. So this menu essentially runs the menu and returns the value that menu returns. The reason we have a separate function for it is that we print the title of the application in that menu. Because we have a custom title that gets printed before the menu, we have a separate function for it. Otherwise, we didn't need it. So we create a private menu function over here, and that menu function, what it does, it first prints this, which is essentially is going to print aid management, yada yada, and file name. And if the file name is null, which in your case is, it's going to print no file instead of the file name. and then it will run the menu and return it. So essentially it prints this and runs the menu, and that's it. That's your uh, menu function for the Ada application. Obviously, and also, yeah, the construction of the, so we are okay down to this point? So the construction, the aid menu has only one default constructor and has nothing else. Okay, it has a default constructor, and in that default constructor, you only initialize the menu of your object. You initialize your menu to these values. Now you can do this initialization any way you want. Okay, as long as you do it. So you initialize your menu to this text, and you set the number of options that you have to 7. Any way you like, the menu attribute of your aid management should be set to this, and that's it. And obviously the file name will be initialized to null pointer, so there is no file name set over there, and that's it. So it's going to initialize to null pointer. It sets it to null. It means there is no null. Rule of 3 is, again, this aid management cannot be copied or assigned to another one, and you have to make sure when it goes off, the destructor deletes it. Again, you have only one function to develop over here, that is going to be a run function. What run function does is this: in a big loop, okay, you start with the loop, and at the beginning of the loop, you simply show the menu. Okay, call the menu. You get its return value and you switch to the value it returns. If it returns 1, you return list items. You show the text over here. So if it returns 1, you just print list items. If it returns 2, you print add item. So you are creating a mock-up for the application. Your application doesn't do anything, it just prints stuff. So essentially it runs like this. Your application will run like this. So as you see, I have this. It shows like that. If I press 1, it shows list items. If I press 2, it shows add item. If I press 3, it shows remove. So it just shows that item. And if I press 0, it says exiting the program and goes out. And that's your application. Very simple application. One loop and a switch, and it's done. Uh, and that's your aid management application. And the submission is like that, and that's it. Are we okay with this? All right. So one person said no. Uh, Laween, go ahead. Just a second. My apologies. Somebody's knocking the door. Let me see. Go ahead. I'm all ears.
Well, I'm kind of confused of having an attribute that is an unsigned integer, and I'm a bit confused about doing the three rule.
Um, Rule of 3.
Yeah, the
Rule
rule
of
of
3
three.
is
Sorry,
so
sorry.
the rule of 3 is essentially creating a copy constructor, taking care of copy constructor, taking care of copy assignment, and having a destructor. These are called rule of 3. Copy constructor, copy assignment, destructor. Okay? Taking
Okay.
care of them. Now, if in rule of 3 I have to say only take care of rule of 3, it means implement the copy constructor, implement the assignment copy assignment, implement the destructor. But if in rule of 3 I tell you this object is not supposed to be copied, then you take care of the copy constructor by setting it to delete. If you don't know, ask your professor. Setting it to delete, it means you're preventing it to be copied. Setting the copy assignment to delete, it means prevention of assignment. And destructor is the same. You write the destructor to destroy. So this is rule of 3. Okay? Are we okay?
Okay.
Or if you want to, you can later on call me on Teams and I'll explain it to you exactly what they are. Okay? Or you can ask your professor. I don't think I'm your
Okay.
professor, am I?
No, I'm
Okay,
with
okay.
another
Anyway, so
professor.
you can ask me on Teams. I have no problem. You can ask me on Teams anytime you want. Okay? So that's that. About unsigned integer, it's unsigned integer. An integer that cannot need negative values.
Oh,
It's in
no
IPC
negative.
one. It's in IPC 144. Unsigned integer. We have integer. We have unsigned it. An unsigned integer is an integer that cannot be negative, and you write it like this. So this is what it is. I can say because value cannot be negative, I'm gonna make it unsigned. Unsigned. You can either say unsigned int or you just say unsigned. They're the same. Unsigned value, same thing. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so unsigned essentially it means it's an integer that cannot have negative value. -1 doesn't have a meaning for it. And because we have a menu, option -1 doesn't mean anything, right?
Right.
Therefore, that's an unsigned. Okay.
Okay.
Again, anybody who's watching this video, any problem with your project, you can contact me on Microsoft Teams. I have no problem helping students, mine or not mine. Okay. All right.
Excuse me, I have questions
Okay.
about the milestone two rule of three. Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah. Um, I it is said an aid-man object can either be copied or not assigned. I think it's a little. I think it's different as we usually do.
One more time. If
It
see,
is
so let's say I don't want the container to get copied in here.
yeah
So I'm going to create a default constructor, and in this one I'm going to say m value is 0. Okay,
okay.
m value is 0. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. Then in here I'm going to say I don't want container to get copied. What do? I go container reference. Oh, sorry, container const container reference. I don't even need to put a name of a variable because it's not supposed to be a function. I'm going to say delete. That means it is impossible now to copy a container.
Mm,
And if I don't want it to be assigned to anything else, then I'm going to say void operator. I don't need to have a return value because I don't want to implement it. Operator const container reference, and I'm not going to put even a variable for it again because operator equal because I want to prevent its calling. Now in here I'm going to say delete. Okay, now if somebody over here creates a container, why is it giving me an uninitialized memory C? Okay, all right, it is initialized now. It has default constructor. Anyways, anyway. So in here, if I say container D, if I say over here C is set to D, see what happens. Now if I
it
bring it over here,
is error.
it's an error. It won't let me. It says operator equal deleted at line 10 cannot be referenced. It is a deleted function. You see that?
Yeah, yeah.
And even if I do this, container A, and I'm going to go copy of C, again, it's going to be an error for me. It's going to tell me uh, that function for constructor. There you go. Container yada yada is deleted. Got it?
Yeah, got it.
That
Thank
is
you.
taking care of rule of three by preventing copying or assignment.
Thank you. Thank you very
All right.
much.
Any other question, anyone?
Can I ask you one on MS Teams? It's about the workshop.
Sure. Well, it's that we're gonna go on MS Team after this. There, no
Okay.
problem. Okay.
I also have a question about the WhatsApp. Can I ask you on
Yeah,
the team?
on Teams, not here, because this
Okay,
is gonna be for everyone looking for the project. We don't want to talk about workshop. Are we good?
okay, okay. Thank you.
Everybody's okay down to this point? Okay. Have yourself a beautiful day. I'm going to stop the recording and post the videos as soon as they get ready. Have yourself a beautiful day.
Hold on.
Yes.
I don't know if I can call you on Teams, but I got an email that
I have
you
I
saying
have
that
I have a phone number at Seneca.
it's true. Okay,
Call
I'll
my
call you.
Yeah, you forgot that
Okay.
we still work, we are still living in we
Okay.
have there are phones out there, right? All right.
All right.
Call my phone. That's
Okay.
it. You can see
Cool.
it in the
Thank
contacts.
you.
Just call it, okay? All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, Armando. Hey, Armando.
I just want to say thank
Long
you.
long time no see. Yeah.
A little
What's
bit.
what's up?
No, I probably have the same issue as Asusa, so I'll just call you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Call me later on.
Later.
Anyone else? Anything? All right. Bye bye, everyone. I'll talk to you later.
Bye. Have a good day.
You too. Bye bye.